What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome.
Do you still have hair or whatever?
No. Oh, I mean, yeah. Like, in terms of in life.
Yeah.
But like, right now, nah.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 5, attempt number 2. I'm here with my brother Joseph, Humphrey, Stephen. Steve. So yeah, I don't know if you guys saw my story a while back, but we did an episode, like an hour-long episode. It was a fucking good episode, but the mic wasn't working, and I tried to play around and like change the settings, thinking that I was an expert, but I kind of shot myself in the foot. But I've tested this now a few times just before,
yes.
So we should be good to go.
Final cut.
Yeah, the final and second and last. So Joey hit me up a while back. It would have been like September or October, asking that if we could do an episode together, because he kind of wanted I think the message said something like, as someone that thought he knew everything about money, and then after following your page realized he didn't, can we kind of talk about that and like do a before and after kind of thing?
Yeah.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start from like your younger years? Because so Joey's one of the older followers. He's probably one of a few that are in their 30s. Everyone else is probably early 20s, fucking in their 20s, yeah.
Thanks for making me feel old, brother.
But so where do you want to start? Do you want to start from like when you first started working?
I think more so like I'll just kind of like explain why I wanted to come on here, because like as Brane was saying, I'm kind of like the older person in our like community, friendship group, whatever your social circle. So I kind of, obviously I've had a lot more experience than most, but my big wake up call was definitely when you kind of introduced me to all your like money tips and that was before you made your page or anything, because I've obviously known you forever. And just with all the information you were giving me, it was like more and more I realized I actually had no understanding of money management or how to deal with money.
What made you feel like you had an understanding?
I just thought because I was a pretty intelligent guy. I thought I was a pretty intelligent guy. I'm pretty good at maths. You know, like I know when somebody's trying to cheat me. I know when something's a scam. Yeah. Like, you know, I understand what an interest rate is. I understand what credit is. Like basic, and like obviously, that understanding was purely from school. So because I did well in money at school, I thought I was a money man. But
and plus we were kind of like always involved with my parents' shit, helping them out and stuff, because we probably had a better understanding, like I guess like reading paperwork and all that kind of stuff. Maybe not so much you, but I know I helped my parents a fair bit. But
then for me, like I was involved in my parents buying the house. I was involved in, you know, my parents selling a house. So like I am aware of like the magnitude of money. But then just in terms of like basic everyday.
That's a nice word, the magnitude of money.
Everyday like interaction with money. It's like what the understanding that I had was not as good as I obviously thought. So just being able to know what, you know, plus and minus, you know, just because I can kind of understand money in that sense, it's definitely a lot more. It's a lot more. It's a lot larger than that. It's a lot more intricacies to it than just your basic, you know, like plus, minus, divide, multiply. You know, like.
So how were you with money, younger, like early 20s kind of thing? Like, so you would have just got out of high school. Did you work during high school?
Yeah, so I had a shout out to Cannington McDonald's. They gave me a job. Gave me my first job. I worked at the front. Back in the days, I only got $8 an hour. Can you believe it? $8 an hour. But at that time, it was pretty much I worked to do driving lessons or to like to pay for food at school. There was no long-term plan then. I then went on to the airport and I was making like, this was as an 18, just turning 19, making $29 an hour.
That's a big jump, huh?
I remember my first pay check at that job was like $850, and I worked like just over a week, and this was just during training. And like you can ask Adam, my brother, if anyone knows. I took him straight to Carousel, and like I bought shoes, shorts, shirt. I bought him shoes. I bought him all this basketball gear. And like from then on, that was just kind of my approach to money. It was like, once I got it, I know I can spend it, and like whatever I can afford, like that's how I'll roll with. Like I calculate how, and like this is how I thought I knew my money is, because I can calculate how much money I was going to get. I can calculate how much tax is going to take. I know how much I've got. I know how
before
much
payday.
I know. I already know this, and I'm like, okay, I know I got a phone bill. I know I got so and so this much for petrol. So then that means the rest I have to spend. So like, if I want to buy shoes, or if I want to buy, or if I want to go on holiday, like I was good with money like that.
That's probably when we were younger, I was in the same boat as well. Like thinking that I have to spend this money. Like, what's the difference?
It's like it's there. So, and I know more's coming. So
it's like, okay, what else can I buy now?
Roll with it. Like, I need these shoes.
And then I start saving.
I need this jacket.
And you have like $1,000 or $2,000. Then you're like, fuck, what am I gonna do with this money? Anyways, I need to spend it. And you buy some dumb shit.
Man, I wish I made it to that stage. It'd just burn a hole in my pocket, like, to steal that expression. It was just like, if I had it, and there was plenty of ways to spend it, and it was, if there wasn't one, I'll find one.
Yeah, you'll find one. That's it, man.
It's like, oh, what's this new thing that I can sign up to that I won't use? That will take $30, $40 out of my account every week. But then because I didn't notice it, it's like it's all good.
Or even just like clothes and shit. It looks good when you're buying it, and then
when we were going out, and plus going out every weekend doesn't help. But then like when you add, the buying stuff for each weekend, like I remember we were going to the shops every Saturday before, or the Thursday night back in the late night days, and would buy a shirt, or at least a shirt. Maybe you buy pants too. Maybe you buy some shoes. Like,
but no real reason, hey?
No real reason other than you just wanted something new, something fresh, because it was just way too hard to wear something you've already got. But but like I said, just because I kind of understood the ins and outs of money, but in terms of just the basic level, as in literally just the ins and outs, like I understand how much money was coming in, and I understood how much money was going out.
Did you feel like that changed from your early 20s towards like your late 20s?
I mean, I think it started changing when I realized, like, oh man, I just can't just be living for the moment. Like I had this this way of thinking, and like sort of How I Met Your Mother. It's like Ted used to say, let future Ted take care of it. So he'd do something really irresponsible, but like at that moment he wouldn't suffer from it, but he knew future Ted would hate him for it, but that's 2 weeks away, or a month away, and like legit, I had that in my head. I was like, you know what? Let future Joseph handle it. Let him handle it. Right now, I'm having too much fun, and it's like once I started thinking like that, but then when I realized it wasn't just changing my thinking wasn't enough. Like I actually didn't know anything about money. And then around that same time, it was like when I came back from America and we really started hanging out more, you started saying these things, and I was just like, why have I never thought of that? Why haven't I ever done that? Like you just mention like different sort of saving tips. You'd mention stuff about investing into different things, working an extra job, like even something as simple as that. Like I always thought you work a second job, you get taxed half.
Yeah.
And that was where it ended. I didn't then realize that you also you still get that money back.
Yeah.
They're just taxing you just to make sure you don't go over the threshold.
Yeah.
But no one told you that.
Yeah, no.
And then just from there, just like little gems you just give, and it's just you just start realizing more and more that like I don't know anything.
I think it's also being aware. Like we make a lot of decisions just blindly and not looking into the actual reason behind it.
For sure.
Like for example, even just like something as simple as budgeting, you're aware of where all your money's going, and then like when you sit down and actually calculate, you're like, man, fuck, I'm actually spending this much when I go out, or I'm actually spending this much on the same things. It's like, do I really need to be spending that much? When you put pen to paper, but when you do it mentally, it's just like, I can make space for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting this much in. It's like, it doesn't matter if I finish.
It doesn't have the same impact when it's like in writing, and then when you start adding things up on a yearly basis, not just on a paycheck to paycheck basis.
Yeah.
So like if you think you spend $50 a week on something, it's not that much, but $50 a week is $2,600. So if somebody told you you're gonna pay $2,600, you'd say, oh no way, I'd never do that.
Yeah, that's it, man. And that's the issue with like fucking credit cards and stuff, because people are even like afterpay, man, because people just break it down to repayments. And then even with fucking car loans as well, man. Like people are saying like, all right, get a car loan, $100 a week, simple, I can afford that. They don't look at it, like 25 grand, 30 grand. And they don't even consider the interest.
They don't realize, like, you know how long you're going to be doing this for.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the issue I had with my car loan. When I bought it, I was like, man, fuck, I was working casual, man. That's fucking risky as fuck taking out a loan on casual.
Man, I remember when you did that, and because
bro, you should have been there when I signed the papers. My hands were shaking.
Oh man,
I had the boys there. But, man, I don't want to that day.
Even in saying that, even me, I did my research for almost a year. Yeah. And then when I signed mine, it happened so quickly. And then when he said, I'll go from one room to another room to another room, and it's like, sign here. And he's telling me all these things, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Nah, it's crazy.
And then, you put your pen and you're just like, what? This is almost $30,000.
Yeah, man. That was probably the biggest realization for me. And I think even just like as soon as I signed it, I realized kind of like, oh, fuck, what have I done? But then it kind of lived with it. Lucky enough, like, I didn't lose my job during that time.
Yeah.
It was kind of like another thing with like debt and shit is like it's under the assumption that everything's going to remain the same. Yeah, that's the big one. 100%. It's like, man, you can lose your job tomorrow, and then if you lose your job, what's in place to make sure
that you can survive,
that you can still maintain that lifestyle? You know, you cover all those expenses that you need to, and then especially the last thing you want when you're a young age is like going bankrupt or any of that shit.
Or like putting the burden on someone else.
Yeah, or like your parents and stuff, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna take money.
It's already hard out here already. And because that was I remember when I got mine, that was the thing that just kept running through my head. Because again, like, even though you are younger than me, you do give me a lot of advice. And I always think about the things that you say. So that was one of the things. As I was writing it down, all I could hear you would say is, you don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. Where are you going to be? Do you know you're going to have a job? And that's all I could hear. And then but I had the confidence in that moment. And then obviously I think I'm in a position where I can comfortably repay that loan. Yeah. So I mean, but there are a lot of people that don't think like that, and just, as I said, they have the assumption that everything's going to remain the same. Yeah. And then,
even like, it fucking eats at you, man. Like, I knew that, all right, I've got to have enough savings so that, man, at least for at least a month or two to cover like my expenses, like not even just the car loan, just expenses in general.
There's other expenses too.
Yeah, and then just saying like, all right, I need to make sure I've got like a couple thousand just in case, like if anything happens at work, if they cut down my shifts, like casual, man, it's fucking risky. And then but it got to the point where I had to like, well, you can call it sacrifice maybe, but like the boys would like try to organize a trip. I'm like, man, I can't, like I don't have the money for it, you know what I mean? Like I've got to pay, like I've got to make sure I've got enough for this loan, and I don't want to be that guy that fucking has like $0 in his bank account and then fucking like the car breaks down or some shit like that, you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, I've got to talk to my parents about getting money. Then your parents turn around and like, you've been working like how many hours a week for like how long? You're like, where the fuck's your money going? And it's a never ending cycle. But yeah, man, I just felt like it was weight on my shoulders. And then after paying it off, I was so relieved, man. I like went out for a drink. I was like, man, I don't like the next time I put myself in a situation like that, like whether it be getting a mortgage or something, it's gonna like take a lot of consideration. But I guess it was kind of good to get it out the way
and get that lesson early.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I think
what are you doing?
I think you've also got to keep that lesson in mind, and you know, actually use that like scenario as a lesson. You know what I mean? Don't just ignore it and then just fucking like
repeat it in another.
Yeah, like 2 years later, you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? 100 a week really wasn't that bad, and I did pay it off pretty quick.
And I think that's for me the biggest challenge with money is not making the same impulsive mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's like, even for me, like my big thing was like food. Like if I was hungry, I'll just go eat, and it wouldn't matter. Like I wouldn't even think about how much money I was spending. I'd always get the large, get a little bit something extra. If I didn't finish, like it was all good. Like I'm full. But then, you know, paying $25, $30 every day, twice a day.
Even like getting lunch at work every single day.
That's what I mean. Like when I was working at the airport, I was having Red Roosters sometimes twice a day. You know, Subway twice a day. Like you just find an excuse to just eat. Eat out more and more because you knew you just had money and you could justify it. So if you've got the money and you can justify it, like that's a dangerous combination.
100%.
And then you know, when you just, like you said, you're working so much, but then you're still coming to your parents being like, yo, like my car service is $1,000.
Because I don't have enough money. Like, where the fuck's your money going? And then when they ask you that, you're like, man, where has my money gone?
And when you can't explain it, and it's like, that happens to me so many times where you like look and there's no way I could have spent all my money. And when it's like that, you can never retrace your steps.
And man, like, don't underestimate how hard you work for your money, man. Like you're spending 40 hours at work.
You're
like you work full time, like 9 to 5
for someone else too.
Legit. And like, you know,
so
say
bad.
People getting paid what, like 25, 35 an hour or whatever, and then we're spending, like we go out clubbing, people like
$25 for a drink.
Yeah, 100%. You're spending an hour's work, like you're shouting one round, $50 gone. It's like 2 hours of work done. It's like, man, was that really worth 2 hours of my time?
See, and that's what I mean, when you put it in that kind of sense, it's just like, once you know these things, and once you understand these things, it's really, really hard to kind of go back,
think of it in
the old way, and that's what I mean. And it's like, the analogy is like hell played out, but it's like the whole Matrix thing. It's the whole woke thing. And it's like, once you know, because if you don't know something, you're just guilty of being ignorant. Like that's not like genuinely your fault. But then once you know it and you understand it and you still do it, now it's your fault. Now you're an idiot. You know, before you weren't an idiot, but now you are. And so my thing, like after, you know, really started hanging out with you, getting exposed to your way of living and your kind of thought processes, it's like, you know, I catch myself in these moments and I'm like, why are you being an idiot? Like, you know, that's the wrong thing to do. You know, like a week from now you're gonna regret paying for this food. So it's like, I catch myself and I'm like, I'll be parked up at Nando's and I'll just go straight home And I'll be like, nah, I'm not gonna spend $30 right now.
I love that. Just go home.
You know, just go home. And I was just like, man, this is just as good.
Yeah, legit.
Yo, it's a red dog.
It's about to go, huh?
But like, you know, just when you can kind of self-check yourself like that, you know, you don't need somebody to tell you.
Stay in your lane.
You don't need somebody to tell you. You know, like I'm doing like fake online shopping all the time. Like I jump on the website, I jump on the app or whatever, and I boom, 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 I make this big list, and then I look at it, it's like $150. I'm like, ooh, do I really need those shoes?
Yeah.
Like I've got 3 pairs of shoes like I never wear. Do I really need another pair? They're not, and it's like they're not even on sale. So it's not like I need them. Like if I don't get them now, I'll miss out on them.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, when I catch myself in those moments, like that feels good, because at least that's for me, like me starting to take advantage of what I know and understand now. But then like on the other side of that coin, the people that look at it and be like, put the list up, see how much they got, then instead of checking themselves at that moment, they check their bank account and be like, ooh, 150, I've got 175, 2 days until payday, can I survive 2 days with $25? And like the reason why I can say that is because that's exactly what I did every time. That's exactly what I did. So, you know, when you can, but if you don't know any better, that's your money management. Somebody will literally tell me, like, somebody would tell you that that's how I manage my money. I always make sure I have enough.
Yeah, that's it.
My bank never goes into negative. So yeah, cool, that is good money management. At least, you know, you're spending only what you've got. But
it's just people, like, we just lie to ourselves kind of thing.
100%.
And that's why we don't talk about money too often, because everyone's kind of it's kind of taboo topic, you know what I mean? It's like, alright, let's not talk about money, because one, people might be embarrassed. Like I think there's like 2 extremes to it. One, they might be embarrassed of their situation because someone might think they're in like up here when they're really down here kind of thing. Or 2, on the other side of the scale, it's more like I'm in a ideal situation for my, like, say, age or whatever.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle kind of thing. But then you don't want people to perceive you in a certain way kind of thing.
Yeah, because then they judge you as like, oh, why are you living like that?
Yeah. But then the other thing, man, like, people that look at, like, I guess, track their money kind of thing, like, I don't know, budgeting or like spend their money wisely kind of thing. And then these, like, randoms have the nerve to come up to them and be like, why are you spending money on that kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, for example, I had a, where was I? I think it was in a London club. And then a random came up to me. Well, someone I know, but I won't say who. Came up to me and was like, does your budget even account for this? So I was like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, first of all, budgeting does not mean not going out.
Can't do anything.
Budgeting does not mean not eating out.
But then that's so yeah, I understand. You mean like the whole ridiculing for trying to do something.
So then they think you're up, they think you're up here.
Put you on that pedestal. And it's like trying to knock you.
And then they say like, right, now this guy can't do this. Like, why is he doing it? Let me call him out for it. It's like, really, you're not calling me out. I'm just in a situation where I've like kind of planned for that or prepared for it, whatever you want to say. But
and I think that's like,
it's their insecurity showing.
That's their insecurity, exactly, and that's part of the fear of why people don't want to put themselves out there like that as well, because they know the moment that they're open for judgment and they're open for ridicule,
vulnerable.
It's like, yeah, that vulnerability is scary, and like so. But if everyone's on the same page, no one will ever talk about money.
That's it, man.
Like no one's gonna say, yo, like I've got a phone bill that's overdue, and I can't actually afford to come out.
Yeah.
They're just gonna say, no, I can't. I can't come out. Oh no, come on, like so good. It's like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'll come.
Yeah.
And then boom, now like not only can you not afford that light bill, now you can't afford the water bill.
Yeah.
Or insert whatever bill you want. It doesn't matter. Car, phone, lights, water, gas, mortgage, bro, drug bill, like, it's
I think it's
same. Everyone sort of like deals with money. Like even a poor person deals with money. So
in a way,
it just affects everyone. And it affects that's what I mean. It affects everyone. Like literally, everyone can have the conversation. Everyone
that's the thing. Yeah,
everyone can.
Everyone has to do it.
Everyone has a money conversation.
That's why
like money is like. Unfortunately, money is like air. You can't function without money. There's no functioning without money.
Yeah.
There's legit nothing you can do. Like they've invented digital money now.
The Bitcoin.
Because, you know, everyone's trying to like do something with money.
I think that's why I like financial planning as well. It's because it's like relevant to every single person, man.
It's life planning.
But legit life planning. Legit.
You're a life
it's
coach.
a major aspect.
You're a life coach.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like the more people talk about it and like own their like mistakes, decisions, whatever it is, I guess the more chances of like maybe like mentality changing on money. Like for example, if I didn't speak about it or I didn't start that Instagram page, then you'd like maybe just keep doing what you're doing kind of thing.
100%.
Then you just keep those thoughts to yourself.
100%.
But then like say you have like not to the whole world, whatever, not to a bunch of randoms, but just have a small circle where you guys are honest with each other and just sharing like.
But then I don't think that's possible. Like it is, but don't get me wrong, I don't think it isn't possible. But I'm saying like if there's no sort of what's the word I'm looking for? If there's not some sort of introduction or any sort of like exposure, or you know, if there's nothing around you saying it or bringing it up or talking about it, or like if it's just from a financial like, oh, I want to buy a house, so now I'll get a financial advisor. Like that's not gonna bring. I don't think that's not gonna bring people together to talk about money. And
but pages like the Instagram page.
Oh, but that's without. So obviously, if there's an Instagram page and you can get people involved through that. But I meant like even just in our friendship circle. If you weren't there, I don't think money would ever get brought up. I don't think there'd ever be a time where money would be a priority where everyone's comfortable talking about it. Like obviously money should be a priority at all times, but so is it a priority to talk about? What would even
spark that conversation?
That's what I mean. There'll be nothing to spark the conversation. And because people try to avoid it in the first place, then they're not going to allow, you know, no one sits down on the news and watches the stock exchange numbers come up and be like, oh wow, the Dow Jones is down. Like no one's gonna do that and start talking about it.
Maybe it's a conversation that needs to be brought up.
Well, that's but that's what I mean.
Whoever's listening just needs to be that person in their friendship circle.
Jump it up, start the conversation, and I think you'll see everyone's definitely got something to say. Everyone's definitely got something to talk about.
Everyone's got their own issues. Everyone's made their own mistakes.
Everyone's got crazy. I'm sure everyone's got crazy experiences. Whether it is like losing money on holiday or getting scammed, or you know,
making a wrong investment.
Making a good investment.
Spending too much money on a house, or spending too much money on a car.
Insurance, something to do with an insurance payout, or having to pay somebody back because of something you did, or you know, like. All these, once you start realizing all these people's experiences and understanding that they're just as likely to happen to you as they are to anyone else. You know, like I always bring this up about like my car insurance story. When somebody tells me they can survive without car insurance, I tell them about my friend, I won't name names. When she was 19 or 20, she crashed into a collector's Mercedes. Collector's Mercedes. So as in like one of those cars that are only driven on a Sunday. So she didn't do that much damage to it, but the repair bill was $22,000.
That's a crazy thing, man. One little dent.
So $22,000 if you have insurance, then and all you need is third-party insurance. So the cheapest insurance that only covers the other driver, not your car. If she had that, she wouldn't have paid a cent. But she decided she didn't need insurance, so she didn't understand the magnitude of not having it. Magnitude. She didn't understand it, so she ends up being a statistic of why you should have car insurance, because now she's got a $22,000 bill. She has to quit uni. She gets a job in the mines. You know, she sacrifices a year of her life, like cleaning and, you know, slaving in the mines, just to, you know, rather than getting third-party insurance. And, you know, you wouldn't understand that because at the time when somebody tells you, oh, you got to pay $30, $40 a month for the car insurance, you think, oh, I'm not going to spend.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I don't need insurance. I'm a good driver. Why spend $40 of my money what I could spend at the club?
And because
the people that don't get insurance aren't people that are generally aren't saving that money. They're finding other reasons to spend it.
100%.
So, you know, and that's like and going back to the whole mindset thing is like, if you have that sort of mindset just for that, it's going to carry over to other parts of your life too. So,
speaking of other parts,
a
little nice transition. Talk to us about the podcast. So Joseph started the Players Club, which is a shirt he's wearing, made by yours truly. Sneaky plug.
Brown ass shirts coming soon.
So yeah.
BTs. Bees tees. That's a good name, coffee, right?
Has potential. Anyways, yeah. So Joey started a podcast, the Players Club. It's got an Instagram page as well. You've probably seen me share it before. He talks a bit about basketball, or a lot about basketball.
A lot about basketball.
Pretty much all basketball.
It's all about basketball. But there's a little bit of life snuck in.
A little bit of life, and there's also like, for someone that's not interested in basketball, there's also little like, what would you call it? Definitions?
Like information. Like learning.
Yeah.
Learning
like
sections.
An introduction to basketball.
Yeah.
So if you're keen to learn about it, like, say, no, I won't say it, but it's fine. But yeah, if you're keen to learn about basketball, follow his podcast, follow his page on Instagram. But yeah, talk to me how that came about.
So I want to give a nice shout out to the man driving right now.
A lot of shout outs today.
Not only has he motivated me to be a better with my finances, he's also motivated me a lot in life in general, just because of his drive and his ambition, while teaching me about financial literacy. He also taught me a lot about hard work and the rewards you can get from that hard work. So one of my dreams or kind of goals in my life was to start a podcast about the NBA, because since I was 13, since I was like 9, I was watching basketball in some form, and since I was 13 I've been reading, learning, kind of studying about basketball. So it's one thing that I feel like on my own I chose to do, like no one kind of influenced me to do it. So I thought, why not start a podcast? Like I'm decent at talking, supposedly. So
you did a teaching degree,
and yeah, so I did a teaching degree along the way. So I think I'm good at explaining things and
to primary school kids.
But most people learn, like that's actually the best way to learn.
Yeah,
like to speak to people like they don't know what you're saying, so that you're speaking it in a sort of way that can be understood quite easily and not really thought about too much. And so it's been good so far. It's been a bit of a challenge. I've got a lot of supporters.
It's a challenge, huh?
A lot of supporters, but it's a fun challenge, and it's one of those things that I didn't think would bring as much joy to my life as it has. Like it's a lot more work, and it's a lot more time consuming than I was expecting. And obviously with that, if you're trying to do something, you got to sacrifice your time.
It's good to have something that you're passionate about on the side, like something you can always go back to after work hours. I guess like kind of zone out and just like focus on that,
and it kind of gives you a sense of purpose a bit more, other than that 9 to 5 grind, or 100%. For me, like I got 8 to 5 grind, like if every day is only about work and you're defined by the 40 hours a week that you get paid, and then the rest is like thinking about work or spending money, then you can kind of get lost in the machine that is kind of life at the moment. So if you can't find something else that's just for you or that makes you happy, then I think that's obviously, in my opinion, if we can go into another sect, why there's a lot of mental health sort of issues, because a lot more people are kind of getting stuck in that sort of cog, becoming just
where they don't feel like they
bits
have
and parts. Yeah. Because if your life is defined by your job and only your job, and if you happen to be one of those people that hate your jobs, then technically, by definition, you hate your life at that point.
Spending majority of your life.
So if you hate your life, then I'm sure your mental health will be really poor at that stage. So.
Yeah.
But for me, like I can honestly say it's brought a lot of joy and happiness to my life. Like every time I finish a podcast, it's like this crazy sense of achievement that like I can't really explain. I had a guy come up to me on the weekend being like, "Hey, are you the guy from the podcast?" And like, I don't know. I'm glad no one saw me, because the way my face like lit up, like you would have thought I turned into like a white boy. Like my face was so shiny. Like my teeth would have been like to my ears, like my eyes wide open. I'm just like, no way. Like it was the craziest feeling. It was the craziest feeling.
Random guy hit me up. I want to get him on the podcast as well because he's a sick guy. But hit me up we were out somewhere, and then he's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "Brahane." Like, usually just say B because no one fucking knows who I am. And then he was like, "Oh, you're the guy that does the finance page." And I was like, "Yeah, how do you know?" He's like, "Oh no, I've been following. Like, I've watched every single podcast." Oh, there's only 4, but it's like, I've watched every single podcast. And I'm like, "Are you fucking serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, man. When is the next one coming out?" I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
I fucking loved it, man.
Man, I had a few people say that to me, like random, like people that I knew. Yeah. Because mostly at the moment, I feel like my fan base is people that I know.
Yeah.
Which, like, not to knock on those people, like respect to you guys for spending your time to listening to my stuff. But then, like, when you get it from somebody that
you just don't know,
is like has no connection, so there's nothing more that they like about the podcast than the podcast itself.
Yeah.
Because I know there's definitely people that are listening to it just because it's me.
Yeah.
And like,
100%.
as much as I love those people and I respect those people so much, like I'd never want to be the guy that's forcing somebody to listen to it just to support me. Like, I want it to just, if you want to listen to it, like, no pressure. But then, like, obviously, when it comes from somebody that doesn't know you, will never know you, but just, oh man,
they're just judging you off that little
just off that, and just off that. So when he tells me he likes my podcast, I know he doesn't care about my feelings.
Yeah.
If it was a crap podcast, he wouldn't have come up to me. Oh, sorry, boss.
The car behind us on him. Oh, good. Yeah. But yeah, 100%, man. Best feeling.
Yeah. It's it's that motivation to keep going. Like,
yeah, man. And then you're like, if this like one guy's reaching out to me, like, there's probably a few other people out there that just haven't had the opportunity to see you.
And not everyone communicates.
And that as well.
I had one of those moments where it's like I didn't have anyone message me or like anything on the page that like wasn't a normal participant of the page or whatever. So I just thought, okay, it hasn't got to anyone else yet. And like, I didn't mind it because, like, at the end of the day, I felt a responsibility to the people that were listening.
To yourself and the people that are listening.
But then also, on top of that, myself. So I kind of had this, like, I kind of lost a bit of motivation for a little while. Like I'd get on the computer and I'll start, and then I'll be like, oh, you know what? Like, it's not that important to finish it now. Because no one's, like, in my mind, I was thinking, like, no one's waiting. But I kind of, you just got to get past that, and you just got to, keep like, for me personally, I remind myself that it's not actually for other people. This is, like, for me. Like, this is my goal. Like, this is what I want to do.
100%.
And I think I'm gonna try and get somebody involved with basketball on every episode, because I'm really enjoying the whole interview process too. Not just talking about basketball, but it's talking to other people as well.
It's a challenge because you're kind of like, like talking yourself is already hard enough as it is, but then like trying to interview someone like how we are now, and then making sure the conversation goes the way you want it to, and then like when you're talking, you're like repeating it in your head and like, oh, does this really sound good, like what else should I add in, and it's like, yeah man, but it's a skill. Like
it's definitely a skill.
When I listen to other podcasts, I'm like, man, it runs so smooth, but then you can only hope that you'll get there eventually after much practice.
But then what I've found as well is I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and it's like, man, like you had the perfect question right there. Like, why didn't you ask him? Why didn't you expand on that? Why are you so busy on your lineup of questions and trying to flow through whatever your plan is? Get him to expand on what he's saying, and what I found, and obviously I've only done 2, so I can't really talk that much. But what I'm finding is that 2 for 2, I've had both people say, like, that's a really good question multiple times, because I ask questions based on their answers, not just here's a list of questions, answer these and let's just get through them. Like I try and expand on their answers, because like I want to learn more. And I think especially with the podcast, the person listening to it is like giving you their ears. So once somebody's giving you their ears, they're exposing themselves to some type of learning,
100%.
Like whether it's just learning, hearing a story, or like talking finance, or talking sport, or talking like life. Like doesn't matter, whatever you hear through your ears, you're gonna learn, you're gonna remember.
How do you feel about the vulnerability? You know what I'm saying? That kind of aspect of like doing the podcast, putting yourself out there.
So yeah, like definitely my big issue has always been my voice.
Because
so, like,
let's talk about like before the podcast.
Oh yeah, so that's what I mean. So first of all, like before that it's like my voice. Like I've always had this issue with my voice. Like I came to Australia only knowing Amharic. Struggled learning English at the start. Eventually lost Amharic to learn English, and then once I felt like I was learning English, I started getting teased about having an Australian accent and sounding too Australian, being like, you're black but you can't talk like a white guy.
You have really good English.
And then you get those comments, and my problem is I take these, like the negative comments especially, I take them in the most. So I'm already like super self-conscious about my voice. So that was one of the big things that I wasn't willing to put myself out for, because I didn't want anyone to say, haha, you have such a funny voice. Because like the moment I would hear that, it would be like, nah, I can't do this. And then it was more like, well, how can I even do this? Like, is there like when I was trying to figure out what I would do, there was like a wide range of stuff. Like I was thinking about doing all types of sports sort of podcast, or like a general conversation life sort of podcast. But then I kind of thought, like, how am I going to get enough content for that while also living a regular life, night, 8 to 5 life? And then that's when I came to basketball, and then it started being like, okay, now how am I going to actually do it? Like physically, what space am I going to do it? What equipment am I going to use? And then once it got to the point where that was sorted, and like I figured that out, I was like, if I don't do this now, when am I going to do it?
Yeah, legit.
Like, it's not. There's never going to be a perfect time. It's like once you've checked off everything, like all those little vulnerabilities, like if you just list everything down and you just say, oh, okay, I can't do it because of this, check that. So like in terms of my voice, obviously I did a teaching degree, so I had to kind of learn how to speak correctly. I'm very conscious of how I speak and what words I use. So like back in the day when I just used to, every second word was a swear word or a slang word or whatever, of course you're gonna sound super Aussie. But if you just speak the correct way, the Queen's English, most people think that you speak normal. So, and then in terms of with basketball itself, like I know basketball, I study basketball indirectly every day anyway. I listen to podcasts every day anyway, just for my own enjoyment.
Watch the games
for my own enjoyment. So really studying the game wasn't really that much of a sacrifice in terms of life. And then once I had the people around me that could help me do it, you know, you started your podcast, so I knew it's possible to just do it without a studio or without a $10,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah, fuck that.
So I thought, like, and the thing is, like, why not me? Why can't I have a podcast?
Yeah.
Why can't you have a podcast? Why can't everyone? Like, if you've got something to say, if you've got, something you think can help others, or, inform others, like, you should just do it. Like,
something you're passionate about.
That's what I mean. And it doesn't even have to be podcasts. It can be art. It can be, a computer game or an app or
talent,
or like a talent. Like, if you're a musician, you can go on this, like, you can busk. Like, if you're a sportsman, go join a sports club and just do it. Like, my only suggestion is, like, just stop talking about it. Stop saying, like, oh no, it's not for me. Just do it. If you fail
2020.
And I think, going back to vulnerability, I think that was the biggest thing. Like, you don't want to fail. And
you don't want to fail in front of everyone. You don't want to fail in front of everyone. On the stage, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And that itself has obviously kept me from doing anything outside of the box right up until my 30s. Because I was always afraid of that. And I was always afraid of the ridicule that would come from failing in public.
Yeah.
But, the successful people fail. Every successful person fails.
Everyone fails.
But somebody who doesn't fail is usually not that successful, because if they haven't failed, it means they haven't tried.
Or they haven't learned.
Yeah, some people go through life with success after success after success, but that's like 0.01% of the population.
There's a stat out there for some.
Yeah, the rest of us have to fail at something. Something has to go wrong before it can go right.
Yeah, so, I feel like we just make fake excuses for ourselves.
Oh, well, that's the easiest one. That's
so easy.
Because it's no one's gonna argue with you either.
Yeah.
Because the idea of trying to push somebody to do something that they don't want to do, a lot of the time ends up in negative situations where you might lose a friend.
Yeah.
Or it becomes unbearable to be around. And it can just be as simple as...
I don't want to see them. All they do is talk about this.
Exactly. And it could be something as simple as, quitting a bad habit. Or, leaving somebody that's a toxic influence to your life.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to keep hearing what you don't want to hear. You remove that positive influence out of your life.
What you don't want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yeah, exactly. But you remove that positive influence out of your life. Well, then what kind of life are you going to have at that point? Because now you're only surrounding yourself around people that are going to promote the negative side of the things that are negative within your life. So you're going to end up in that same situation. Boom, next year's going to happen. You're still in there. 5 years from now, you're like, whoa, how did I get here?
What you said something last time? You were like, people gonna hate regardless.
Yeah, well, so that's in terms of the judgment. Like, if that's the only reason why you're not gonna do something, then you're an idiot for that sense, because people are gonna hate it regardless. Like, there's always gonna be someone that doesn't like you for some reason.
Yep.
Like, I've made it like my life goal to be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I had a tough time making friends when I started school, so because obviously I was super different to everyone. So I just kind of made it a thing, like, I don't want to give anyone a reason not to like me. But the funny thing is, people still don't like you.
Yeah.
People still think, oh, look at him, he thinks he's better than everyone. What? I legit make sure that I'm not better than everyone. How can you say that? It's like, oh, you smile too much.
Yeah.
What? It's like, oh, you're too loud. What? you gonna not like me because my voice is too loud?
You get annoying.
Yeah, so like they just people like if they want to find something about you that they don't like, they not gonna like it, and then at that point, nothing you do will ever be right, ever. But there's still people on the other end of that spectrum that will love everything you do, no matter what. So you should think about those people. You should be like, let them see what you're doing.
Those people.
So if you let them see what you're doing, and then they tell you the good things, like, hey man, podcast was good. Hey brother, your page is awesome. Like, if 10 people tell you your page is awesome and one person says your page is crap, I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty good at percentages, but what's the what's the percentage of that?
10%.
So it's like you just gotta accept. You gotta accept that there's always going to be both sides.
Yeah, and that shit just makes you stronger.
Yeah,
100%.
Like you walk out of the house, someone's not gonna like your outfit. Someone's gonna say your shoes are trash. Somebody's gonna say, why did you get that haircut? But somebody else is gonna say to you, hey man, whoa, I love your hair.
Yeah.
So like, but both people are right. You know, at the end of the day, you can't tell somebody they're wrong about how they feel, but you just don't, what you're in control of. And shout out to every like motivational page on Instagram. You're in control of how you respond to that.
Yeah.
So if you can't respond well to criticism, then I'm sorry man, you're gonna have a difficult life, because life is all about criticism.
Criticism builds you, man. It motivates you.
And that's the thing, like if you can then view criticism differently, and rather than letting it tear you down, take it as motivation to build yourself up. Then you're gonna be better. No one's gonna criticize you the same. Like, you should take every criticism as, okay, no one's ever gonna say that to me again.
Yeah, and I'm sure if someone came up to you and was like, man, podcast was trash, I didn't like this, fuck that, I'm gonna, and then like the next podcast, you're just gonna go 10 times harder.
And perfect example with the podcast, like, shout out to my brother Yon. Like, he is like my #1 critic. First episode.
Family is number one.
First episode, he said, yeah, it's good, but you made all these mistakes, and boom, listed them out one by one.
And that shit you don't even realize.
I was like, yeah, I know I did that. Yeah, I know I did that. Yeah, I know I did that. Episode 2, he says, yeah, it's good. You didn't have any mistakes, but you're still talking like you're reading it off a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, right, cool. Boom. Third episode came out. You're still reading it. You're still reading it like it's off a piece of paper. So I'm like, good. Next episode, no mistakes. Sounds good. Simple. Boom. It's like, I could have quit after the first one, like, oh,
I'm not made for it.
But it's like, you know, I guess that's the sort of simple, basic sort of criticism, interaction, whatever. Like, some people are going to get a lot more people saying stuff.
Yeah.
But in essence, that's all it comes down to, is just somebody telling you their feelings, and like, everyone's entitled to their feelings. So just let them say it and then deal with it, move on. Like, you are in complete control, and like, the way you respond to that criticism shows that control. So the moment that you can just take it on and be like, okay, so-and-so said this, I'm gonna do this thing differently, so they never have to say that again.
Yeah.
Or even still, so-and-so said that, you know what, that's not really that valid. Like, they're obviously not listening to it properly. Ignore it. Like, there's 2 ways you can handle everything. Or you can just shelf it and be like, maybe I'll think about that, I'll see if anyone else mentions something like that.
Yeah.
But if, you know, like, but then you can take that onto life too. Like, if 10, 20 of your friends are telling you the same thing, telling you, oh, come on, man, you're going out too much. If one person tells you that, you can be like, oh, okay, I'll ignore it. But if 20 people are saying that,
you gotta check yourself.
Maybe you should reconsider something. You know? And it's...
then you gotta be, like, that's another thing, like, especially in life, you've gotta, like, surround yourself around those people that will check you for that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's like going back to the other example. It's like, you know, if you remove those people that are giving you advice, if you are avoiding those people because they're trying to give you that advice, you know, you're like shortchanging yourself.
You're the
at that point, and now you're legit the problem.
Yeah.
Like, now it goes back to what I said before. Like, once you know something and you understand it and you still refuse to do it, you're officially an idiot.
By definition.
By definition. I'm pretty sure if you look it up on Google, it's like an idiot who's repeatedly does the wrong thing. Speaking of Google, shout out to technology. Got it on our. Let's see. Define idiot. A stupid person. A person of low intelligence.
No, there you go.
More or less. So I know there's a lot of idiots. I feel like everyone deep down inside is an idiot in some aspect of life. Not everyone's perfect. At the same time, while Brahane is really good with his finance, there's other aspects in life that he's lacking. At the same time, for me, I'm pretty good in terms of physical fitness, health, whatever. But in terms of finance, as I said previous, I'm pretty much an idiot.
Yeah.
So it's like, once you can admit that, once you can acknowledge that vulnerability, I think that's when you can grow, and I think that's when you'll start noticing life changing.
100%.
And then you allow yourself to bring those people into your life that can help change you.
That's it, man. Surround yourself.
Like you, brother.
Surround yourself with a circle of winners.
Ooh.
Quote unquote. Somebody on Instagram.
Brahane Mesfin. Brahane Mesfin 2020.
Brahane Mesfin 2020.
Surround yourself with winners.
My quote for 2020 is leave nothing on the table. 2020.
Try everything.
Nothing on the table.
Try everything.
Get everything done.
Do everything.
Start that thing that you wanted to start. If you don't know what you want to start, spend 2020 finding out what it is that you can or want to start. Dig deeper. Don't be scared of
Don't be scared of failure.
Don't be scared of failure, but don't be scared of actually questioning yourself, asking why, because you ask yourself why.
I think do a lot of that self-examining. Do a lot of the.
Why do you do certain things? Why do you avoid this?
And try and understand yourself. Take the time to be as Brahane was saying, if there's something you want to change about yourself, ask yourself why you do it. If you're always arguing with your mum, ask yourself why are you always arguing with your mum. If you are always eating junk food, ask yourself why.
If you're always skipping the gym, ask yourself why.
If you can ask yourself why, then you start finding out reasons how you can get rid of it. Because the moment you find out you're arguing with your mum because you're not sleeping enough and you're coming home frustrated from work, you know what you should do? Talk to your mum about work. De-stress with your mum. Let your mum understand why you're stressed, so that you don't have the argument with your mum. If you're struggling always eating junk food, you know what? Start prepping your own food so that you always have it ready. And there's simple solutions for every issue.
Yeah.
And I think
you just gotta dig deeper.
Dig deep, find it, and if that's what you want, if you want to be healthier, be healthier. If you want more money, save more.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's all you gotta do. You want to go to the gym, just go to you want to get bigger, just go to the gym.
Go to the
Eat
gym.
right. That's what I gotta keep telling myself.
Do the right thing.
But yeah, man. 2020, no room for idiots. Quote unquote, Joseph.
Hashtag no room for idiots.
No room for
Hang
idiots.
out with the winners.
That might be. Hey, that's the episode title. No room for idiots.
No room for idiots. Hang out with the winners.
Hang out with the winners. That's a bit too long. No room for the idiots. So that's cool. Anything else you want to add? You
good? Episode 4 is out on the Players Club, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud.
I'll tag him. Link it.
Instagram page the.players.club. You can follow me. You don't have
even
to.
If you're not a fan of basketball.
Humphrey Bear 88. That's me. But yeah, even if you're not a fan of basketball, it's got good stuff on there. You can show some love. I definitely appreciate every little bit of support. But I'm trying to make a bit of a community where basketball brings everyone together. So it's not really just strictly about basketball. It is about a sense of community and things like that. So 2020, same thing like Brahane, trying not to leave anything on the table. So big things for us, hopefully. And yeah, Brahane, thank you for having me, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hopefully it works this time.
Hopefully it works. Fingers crossed.
Number 2.